everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy SuperDuo and Crystal bracelet. So I'm using bicones and SuperDuos, and it turns out really pretty. Let's see what the pattern looks like. Just really nice. And let me put it on real quick and I will show you what it looks like if I can do this rather quickly and not bore you to death. Whoa, and it fell off. Good, Gina. Just so good. So, you know, I have to struggle with these things because that's the way it works. There we go. And that's what it looks like. Back up a little so you can see the full view of it. Really pretty. And then we'll get in close again so you can see the pattern. And that's what that looks like. We are going to be using bicones and SuperDuos, as I said, but if you do not have any bicones on hand, this is just a 4 millimeter bicone. You could also use a 4x4 cuboid. That would work really good in this too, or a 4 millimeter fire polish bead. That would work really nice too. So let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this particular project. Okay, for this project today, we will be using SuperDuo beads. I am using the Matte Apollo Turquoise. This one seems to draw me in every time. I kind of like it. So that's what I'm using. And then we are going to be using some seed beads. These are both Toho. I'm using a 15-0 and an 8-0. In my 15-0, I have Montana Gold. In my 8-0, I have Metallic Bronze. I'm going to be using some 4 millimeter bicone crystals. These are Swarovski. I do have some AAA grade Chinese crystal in variety packs on my website. I'm kind of clearing that out. I may still offer that, but I'm going to work into offering a little bit of Swarovski, which will be very limited, of course, because it's discontinued. And then I'm going to work into something Czech, either Preciosa or just their machine cut, something. But that's why when you go to that page, it'll be pretty much empty. It will have something soon, I promise. And you're going to need 2 beading needles, and mine are size 12. And I recommend a size 12 because we're going to be using 15-0 seed beads, and we're going to be traveling through them in a couple spots a couple of times. So size 12, and then 10-pound Nanofil or 8-pound Nanofil will work, or a 6-pound Fireline. Just those 3 sizes. Don't do anything above that because you will not be able to travel through your beads well if you do. And then of course you're going to need a clasp. I have this little antique copper tone clasp because it's about the only thing I could find that would kind of go with my seed beads. So that's what I'm using. You can use any clasping you would like. And what I want you to do is put 4 feet or cut 4 to 5 feet of thread, and then put a needle on both sides of that piece that you cut. Draw the same amount through both needles so that you have the same length on both sides, and I will show you that once I have threaded my needles. So let's go ahead and thread our needles and get started. Okay, so as you can see, I have 1 piece of thread and I have put a needle on either side of that thread. And then I'm going to put my needles together, and I want to make sure that the thread that I've drawn through the needles is basically the same length. So you want to make sure they're really close in length. They don't have to be exact, but they need to be very close. And then you're going to separate your needles. And on your right side needle, you're going to pick up 1 SuperDuo, and then you're going to go through the other hole on the SuperDuo with your other needle. So you can drop it down to the thread and go through it, or you can hold it up on the needle like I'm doing and go through it. My left hand is basically useless, so, you know, be patient with me. Now, I have 1 SuperDuo on both needles, and I'm going to just pull it down on my thread to the very center, just like this. And then I'm going to separate my needles, make sure my thread is not crossed or anything. I'll pull on both sides just to make sure that there's no excess thread on the back of the SuperDuo here. And then we are going to pick up on both needles 3 15-0 seed beads. So I've got 3 on my right needle, and then I'm going to pick up 3 on my left needle. And then I'm just going to drop them down. Don't have to go all the way down, just drop them down. And then you're going to put your needles together, and you're going to pick up an 8-0 and go through the 8-0 with both needles like this. And then we are going to bring this all down to the center. And then you're just going to separate your needles again. Make sure nothing's twisted. Well, all I do is just separate it down towards the piece here, and I pull on either side of the working thread. And then I can keep my needles together up here and go through the clasp of go through the whole, the loop of my clasp with both my needles, and then drop this down to the little piece I've created. Now, this is what I have. I'm coming out of the clasp with both threads. I'm keeping my needles together. You can do this one at a time if you'd like, but I'm keeping my needles together. I'm just going to let the clasp drop away, and I'm going to go down into this 8-0 seed bead, and just the 8-0 seed bead, and I'm going to hold onto it and pull both my needles through until I can draw everything together nice and tight. And now I'm going to separate my needles, make sure nothing's crossed, straighten it all out like this, and then I'm going to, with just my right needle, I'm going to go down on the right side of the SuperDuo. So I'm going to go down all 3 of these 15-0 seed beads on this side, and then into the SuperDuo with my right hand needle. Pull it tight, and then pick up your left hand needle and go down the left hand side, the 3 15-0 seed beads and the SuperDuo, just like this. Hold on to it and pull your thread through. Now separate both threads and pull a little bit. Just don't pull so hard that you're breaking your thread, but just pull and make sure everything is nice and neat and looks just like that. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up a SuperDuo on either needle. So we're going to pick up one on the right, and we're going to pick up one on the left, just like this, and just drop them down. And this is just kind of fidgety at first. And then separate your needles and pick up a 15-0 on either side or on both needles like this. I'm going to put my needles together now. Push those 15-0s down, put my needles together, and I'm going to go through my bicone. So and I didn't say what color this is. This is blue zircon. So I'm going to go through my little bicone, and I'm going to push this all the way down to all these beads that are already on, and then I will separate my threads. And right here you want to make sure everything's nice and neat, so make sure that you get this part just laying out just right so that there's no slack at all. And it's kind of arguing with me, so I'm going to pull on one thread at a time and then pull on both of them and see if I can get that to lay nice just like that. That's what I want that to look like. And you want the start of it to be nice and neat, because once we continue with the next step here, it's going to be difficult to tighten. So now you're going to pick up a 15-0 on both sides. So anytime we put a crystal on, we're going to pick up a 15-0 on both sides of the crystal. And then we're going to pick up 2 of our SuperDuos, one on both needles. So you've got a 15-0 and a SuperDuo on both needles, and you're just going to bring them down. And then you're going to put your needles somewhat together, grab a SuperDuo, and you're going to go through one SuperDuo in both holes with the needles like this. Let me back off just a little bit here. And we are going to then pull this all the way down and draw everything together with it. Separate your threads and just pull on either side, just like this. Make sure everything looks good. Don't seem to be getting the tension I want, but there we go, just like that. That's what that looks like. Now we have a single SuperDuo in the middle. We're going to do two more of we're going to put on two more SuperDuos, one on each needle. So we're going to have a pattern that has 2, 1, 2. And then we'll go back into our SuperDuo, and then we'll do the 2, 1, 2. So now we're going to pick up 2 SuperDuos, one on either needle, or on both needles. I don't know why I can't say that right. And then we're just going to drop it down, just like that. Now that we have both of our 2s, then we're going to do a crystal. So we have 2, 1, 2, and then crystal. So we pick up a 15-0, and then a 15-0, one on both needles, one on either needle, just like this, and then drop those down a little bit. Pick up your crystal and go through it with both needles. Now, if you can't do that, then go through it with one needle, bring it down to your thread, and then cross, or actually go straight up through it. Don't cross, go straight up through it so that both of your needles are laying like this and not like this. Just draw it straight down and bring it straight down. So it's easier if you just can go through the crystal with both needles at the same time, but sometimes you can't. And then I'm going to separate my thread, straighten everything out, and a 15-0 and a 15-0, and then I am going to cage in that crystal with another set of SuperDuos. So one on each needle with a 15-0 first, like that. And now I need to draw it all together, so I will pick up a single SuperDuo and go through both holes with both needles like this. And then draw this down, separate my threads, and pull on it just to make sure it's nice and neat. And then I will pick up another double set. So it's double, single, double, and then crystal. Pick up another double, drop them down. Once you have your double, single, double, then you pick up a crystal. So we do a 15-0 and a 15-0 because we have to have 15-0s on either side of the crystal. So we are picking up 15-0 on both needles, and then we're going to put on our 4mm bicone, and we're going to draw this all down. Separate our threads, pull on them a little bit, and then you're going to pick up a 15-0 and a SuperDuo on each needle. So let me make sure my thread isn't crossed. And see, if your thread gets crossed like this, you're going to have a big mess. So make sure it's not. You can just pick it up like this, pull on either side, and uncross it. Now, I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a SuperDuo on one needle, and a 15-0 and a SuperDuo on the other needle, and drop it down. Now, I need to draw everything together by picking up one SuperDuo. So I'll pick up one SuperDuo and I'll put my needles, one needle through one hole and the other needle through the other hole, and put my needles together and draw this down. Separate my threads and pull on it. Just like that. We'll do one more and then we'll go to length doing this. So now that I have I have a set and then I have a single, I need another set. So double, single, double. So I'll pick up 2 and drop it down. Then I will pick up 1 SuperDuo, or excuse me, I will pick up a 15-0 on both threads, and then I will pick up a crystal. So double, single, double, crystal. And then you'll do double, single, double, crystal again. So now we have the crystal. We have to do a double. So we picked up a crystal, so we pick up our 15 O's, and then we do a double. Pick up a SuperDuo on both needles. Drop it down. Now we have to do our single. So we're going to pick up SuperDuo on one needle, and then go through the hole of the SuperDuo, the other hole with the other needle. And my left hand is basically useless, guys, like I said, so just kind of deal with, just, you know, kind of, just give me some slack, okay? There we go. Now, I'm just going to draw this all together by separating it. And I have my single, so I need another double. And then I can do my 15-0 crystal 15-0. So I will pick up a double set, one on each needle, and drop them down. Now I have my double, single, double. I pick up a 15-0 on both sides, and then I put my needles together, pick up a 4mm bicone, and go through it with both needles like this. Draw it down. Okay, so I have a 15-0. There we go. Thought it wasn't going to go down for a minute. Then separate, pull on both just to make sure that everything is tight and looks good. And again, pick up a 15-0. And we're going to start our double. So pick up 2 SuperDuos, drop it down. Pick up a single, go through both holes. With each needle, go through one hole, and then drop it down. And make sure it's not crossed, so mine is crossed, so I'm going to uncross everything, pull, make sure that it's nice and tight, and then I will pick up SuperDuos on either side. Because I have a double, then a single, now I need a double. And once you've done your double, single, double, then you do your crystal. And you just keep repeating. If you need to, just back up the video and continue and watch it a couple times until you have the pattern down, which is pretty simple, so it shouldn't be too hard. And just continue doing this until you have 13 and 2 half units. So let me show you how I'm counting this. Each section of the SuperDuos is what I'm counting as a unit. I'm just ignoring the crystals. So these 2 on either end are going to be a half unit. So I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got 12. My last one is a half unit. So what I have done on my very last one is, after making my crystal unit, I did my double and then my single, and I stopped because I want it to look the same as this side. And we have a double and a single and then our clasping. So that's how I did that. As far as length is concerned, I have made about 6 3/4 inch length with what I have on my bracelet right now. So I want to go, and my clasping is going to add about a 1/2 inch, and I want to be somewhere around 7.5 inches. So the reason I've gone this far, even though my clasping would add a 1/2 inch, is that we can lose just a little bit in our embellishments. So you want to just leave yourself, just go close to the length you want, like I'm doing, and then add your clasping. So that you have about a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch left to put your clasping on. Now, this is where I'm coming out on the very end. I'm going to tighten everything by spreading my threads apart and just pull on either side. I'm going to bring us in so we can see what's going on. We're going to do the clasping on this side now. So what we have to do is we have to pick up our 3 15-0 seed beads on both sides here. I'm going to just use my other hand because it'll take forever. And once we have 3 15-0 seed beads on both needles, then we're going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, and we're going to go through it with both. And I actually think to narrow this down and make sure that my toggle is going to work well, I'm going to drop 2 8/0 seed beads. So that's also going to add us a little bit of length. And I'm going to drop this down. And that just narrows everything, because if it's too wide on this end, your straight end will not go through your round end on your toggle very well. So we're coming out of both of these 8/0s. Keep your needles together and go through the loop on your clasp, just like this. Drop it down. I'm going to back off just a little bit more. And I'm going to pick this up. And I'm just going to keep my needles together, let my clasp drop down, and I'm going to go through both 8/0 seed beads with both needles together, like this. I'm going to close my thumb over that and pull this through. Draw it all together. And this is what you should have, just like this. Now we're going to separate our needles. And we are going to take our right needle and go down the 3 15-0 seed beads on the right hand side. And we're going to go through the seed bead here, or excuse me, the SuperDuo here and the SuperDuo underneath it. And just pull all this down and tight, just like that. Then you're going to take the other side, and we're going to go through the 3 15-0s, and we're going to go through the SuperDuo, both SuperDuos right underneath those 15-0s, and pull. Make sure there's no slack, pull on both sides, and then we need to work our way to where we can position our needle to come back through everything. So what we are going to do is we are going to go up through the outside hole of the SuperDuo we're in. So we're on the inside hole here. We're going to come up through the outside hole right here. With just one needle, just park the other one aside, and we'll do one side at a time. Make sure you don't pull anything apart. It all has to stay together nice and neat. Pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, just like this. And then go into the seed beads right on top of the SuperDuo, we're in, right here. So go into these 3 15-0s, all 3 of them, up through the 2 8/0s, and then go into your clasp if you can. If you can't, just exit the 8/0s, just like this. Pull it up, and then come back down into the 8/0, and come back down into the beads on the side you just did. Don't cross over. Stay on the side you just did and come back through all of those seed beads. So I'm going through all of them here, and I'm going to exit the seed beads because I can't get in that SuperDuo. Then I'm just going to come back into the SuperDuo. Now what that's done is that's turned my needle around and got me positioned so that I am ready to do my embellishments on this side with this needle. Now I can do this one. So I'm going to move my piece so that I can park this needle out of the way. I'm going to get my left needle now, and I am going to cross over. So I'm coming out of the inside hole of this SuperDuo. I'm going to go into the outside hole here. I'm going to pull the thread through, and then I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And I am going to go into the 3 15-0s on top of the top SuperDuo here, and then through the 2 8-0s, and then through the clasp. And now you can see why we didn't have to go through the clasp more, because we're securing it further right now. Now we're going to go back down into the 2 8-0s and back into the beads that we just came out of on the same side. So I'm trying to get through all 3 of these 15-0s together, and I'm not making it. So let me see if I can do this. Did I go in them? Yes, I did that time. Last time I was behind them. So I'm coming through them here. And then I can go into, my thread is being weird, into these 3 right here. And SuperDuo if I can, just like that. Pull this all together. And now, my dears, we can pull on both threads, make sure everything looks halfway decent. Those ones want to buckle. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Okay, that's all right. I don't care. That's what that looks like. And now we've successfully gone through our clasping again, secured it, and turned our needles around so we are ready to start the next embellishments. And what we're going to do for our next embellishments is we're going to, you can do one side at a time or you can do both. I'm probably going to work back and forth so that I just, you know, keep it balanced. It's however you want to do it. I'm going to back off here. Now, if you run out of thread, I still have plenty, and I did a wingspan, which is about 5 feet. So it's about the height of your body. So what you need to do if you're running low on either side is you will have to extend on both sides. So you can't just extend once. You're going to probably end up extending on twice, of course. So don't feel like if you run out, you can't extend on this project. You certainly can. Now, our embellishments, we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead. We're coming out of this SuperDuo here right before the unit that has a crystal in it. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, a crystal, and a 15-0 onto our needle, just like this. And then we are going to go into the next SuperDuo. So we're going to lay a crystal next to the crystal that we already have right here, just like that. And you can go ahead and do the other side, but I'm just going to show you a few embellishments so that we can go off camera and go to length. So wherever there's a crystal, you're going to put a crystal, 15-0s on either side. Wherever there's the full unit of the SuperDuos, the double, single, double, you're going to pick up an 8-0, and you're going to go into the next SuperDuo and pull. Then we're back at a crystal unit, so we pick up 15-0, crystal, 15-0, and go into the next SuperDuo here. Pull that down. Now I will do the same thing on my other side, so I'll do a couple at a time. So now I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and a crystal. Come here, crystal, and a 15-0, and I am then going to go into the next SuperDuo right here. Pull this down, and then I can pick up an 8-0 seed bead. I need to rearrange this and go into the next SuperDuo and then I can pick up a 15-0 and a crystal and a 15-0, and I can just work the entire length doing this embellishment. So like I said, where there's a crystal, you put a crystal. Where there's just SuperDuos, you put an 8-0, and you work all the way down the entire length of the bracelet doing that. And then when we get to the very end, we'll be back. Okay, so now you can see I have done both sides, and I am coming out of the SuperDuos on the top here. And I have to attach to my clasping and go back through my clasping, come back down and tie off. So this is what we're going to do. And you know what just dawned on me? A 4x4 cuboid would look really good in this too. If you don't want to use a bicone, and I'm not sure, a round might work, might not. It might have to be a small round, like a 3x2 or something like that. So anyway, we are coming out of the SuperDuo right here. We're going to do one needle at a time, and we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads onto the needle, and we're going to travel up from this outer hole of this SuperDuo into these 3 15-0s, and then the 8-0 on top of the or right beneath the clasp, go through the back of it, and then through the little clasp loop, just like this. And then we're going to pull this up. Now I'm going to reposition a little bit, and I'm going to sew back down. So I'm going to go into the 8-0 here, and it's all pretty tight, so you kind of have to squish your way through here. I'm going to get into this 8-0 and see if I can get into my 15-0s also. So there I am, coming through. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight through, and the angle is kind of bad, so I may have to use something to pull it through. The beads aren't full, but the angle is bad. So now we're going to go through these 3 15-0s here. Then we're going to go down into the SuperDuo, and then into the, we're going to go into the SuperDuo, the 15-0, the crystal, the 15-0, and the next SuperDuo, and 8-0, and just come out right there. Now, I can go between this SuperDuo and this 8-0 and put my thread through. Make sure everything's nice and tight. So pull on your working thread first. Make sure everything is nice and tight. And then make a loop and tie a knot. Just like that. Oops. Come back here, you squirrely thing. And then I can go into the next SuperDuo, crystal, 15-0, crystal, 15-0. Come here, 15-0, SuperDuo, and 8-0. Once you exit the 8-0, then you have some space to tie a knot between, on the thread bridge between the SuperDuo and the 8-0. So just make a loop, tie a knot, and then travel down a couple more, and then you can cut your thread off. So let's go down a few more here. And come here, 15-0. Make sure you get into those 15-0s, and like I said, it's just kind of argues with you. And then just pull that through and cut that off real close. Or you can leave a little bit and burn it in if you'd like, but I'm just going to cut it off real close. And I hope I'm in camera. So all I did was travel down. We're going to do this side now too, so you will see it if I was out of camera, and I apologize for that. Things move around and I'm not paying attention, and you know, stuff like that. So now I have this thread that I have to tie off. So I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. I'm going to travel back into the 3 15-0s above this SuperDuo. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to go into these 3 15-0s. And I'm going to go into the 8-0. And I'm just going to kind of go behind that clasp there, pull it out because it's kind of tight. Then I'll go through the loop on the clasp, and then I'm going to go back into my 8-0. The clasp is really tight against the 8-0, so if you go right in the center, kind of helps. Let me pull that a little bit. And see if I can get through these 15 O's also. There we go. And right there, the angle is weird, so just grab something and pull it through, some kind of plier, and then go through these 15 O's here. The SuperDuo, the 15O, the Crystal, 15O, SuperDuo, and 8-0, just like that. Pull this all through and tie a knot right on that thread bridge between the 8-0 and the SuperDuo. Make a loop, go up through it, pull it down. Now I have to adjust my thread. There we go. Now I'm going to do that one more time. So I'll go back into the SuperDuo here, 15O. Come here, you little tiny thing, you. And then through the Crystal, through the 15O, through the 8-0, and pull. And then we're just going to tie another another knot. Jeez. I'm having difficulty speaking lately. I don't know what's happening there. All right. So I've tied a knot, and then I'm just going to travel down another little section here just to get away from the knot, give it a little bit of room so it doesn't just slip through. And then once I've done that, I will cut that off. And now it's time to see how much shrinkage I got. Let's see if I can get this to fit me. Yeah, it's just about right. So going that extra little bit, instead of giving myself a full inch, it worked perfect. So I'm going to measure it and let you know exactly what the units I did, what measurement I came up with. And that way, well, let me show you what it looks like, I guess. That would be superb. Let's get all this stuff out of the way. And that's what that looks like. It's not a little tiny bracelet, but it's not a big, huge, bold bracelet either. It's just about right. It's really pretty. Lots of sparkle. And like I said, you could use a 4x4 cuboid in here, and that would be really pretty too. I really like it. So let's take that off and measure it and see what we ended up with. If I can find my ruler. There it is. Okay. So halfway through the toggle here, I ended up with a 7 1/4 inch bracelet. So that's just perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to end up with. So that's how you make that. And I'll show you one more time what it looks like. It's really, really pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button and perhaps the notification bell so we can continue making things together. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.